All right, mic check, mic check. Peace and grace, peace and grace. Is there anybody out there listening? Is there anyone out there listening? This is Rachelle Radio Raw chiming in for a conversation about things a little bit more local and closer to home. Today, instead of talking a lot about global issues, and God knows we've got plenty of those to talk about, don't we? And we have been. I just appreciate you so much for being such loyal and loving listening audiences. Thank you so much. God bless you. But today, because I am broadcasting to you from Wilmington, Delaware, the first state, the little teeny state, the great wonder, as they call it, the small wonder. I want to talk about something that maybe affects all of us, but just in a different way. If you live in a different state or even in a different nation, I don't know how things work with you regarding your taxes, but here in the United States of America, and certainly here in the state of Delaware, we pay taxes. You better believe it, buddy. We certainly do. I live in the city of Wilmington, Delaware, and I pay both county taxes as well as city taxes. All right. And then there are lots of other things. The basic cost of living. We all have to remember it. We can't drive the car without insurance. We have to have our cell phones. Lord knows we need those handheld computer devices. And, just a plethora of other things for basic living, for basic comfort, not even the luxuries, just the basic comforts to stay alive. All right. Here in the United States, and particularly on the Northeastern Corridor, and certainly right here in Wilmington, Delaware, we're experiencing a heat wave. Yep, we've got a heat wave. Came in at about 98 degrees today with a feel like of 106. If my cellular device is accurate and telling me the truth, we came in at just about 106 today here in Wilmington, Delaware. So one of the what might be considered as a luxury to some and a privilege to others, nonetheless, if you have air conditioning in your home and in your car, perhaps you work in a location, an office space that provides you with air conditioning. Those are the comforts, those are the luxuries and the privileges of being able to just enjoy that. But it costs you. You're going to come out of your pocket and you're going to pay. Now, again, if you're living maybe over in Russia or something of that nature, perhaps air condition is the last thing on your mind. You're more concerned with the heat. And I get it. You need heating. Either way, you have to pay for that luxury, that service, that provision that the agency will give you based on how much usage you are using. All right. So there are two issues on the table today. We're going to talk a little bit about here in Wilmington, Delaware. It's called Delmarva Power and Light. We're going to just talk about that a little bit. Is it privilege or is it luxury? You tell me. Which one is it? Is it affordable? Is it for life? I mean, we've got to think about our senior citizens. Think about babies born in homes with no air condition during a heat wave, and maybe there's nothing but a fan that's running. It's going to cost us, even for just the fans. It's going to cost us. And I'll share this with you, which is personal, but I've done that before, so that's nothing new. My electricity usage, I am a homeowner. My electricity usage for the month of June was $69. Yes, you heard me correctly. $69 for the entire month of June. I used $69 worth of electricity. However, because of the service delivery charges, the bill came in at just under $300. So let's just round it off and say $300 for the month of June, but I only used $69 worth of electricity. All right. The heat is off. It's a heat wave. The heat is off. All right. And so these are the kinds of things that we are dealing with here locally, which expands nationally because of all of the various different laws and policies that have changed under the new presidential leadership, or So now things have changed. I could go on for days. But I do have a guest joining me today where we are talking again local here in the state of Delaware. We're going to also talk about the new tax assessments. They were done by Tyler Technologies tax assessments. And most of the property owners that I've spoken to are definitely, they've got their panties in a bunch. All right. So here to help us understand it and try to explain it and make it make sense is none other than my friend and yours, definitely a friend of mine, former Newcastle County President, Ms. Karen Hartley Nagle. All right. We're going to bring her to the stage and welcome her to the stage. Thank you for joining me, Karen. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm so glad when you.
I've got the air off because my electric is through the roof.
Yes, yes. Well,
It's
I'm glad you called me to
affordable.
talk about and spread the word on these Newcastle County tax assessments by Tyler Technology. So we're going to just kind of loop around and we're going to talk about both of those issues. But let's get started with Newcastle County. But first, tell us now. You're the former Newcastle County president.
Correct.
From a public perspective, a public servant, but you're still serving the people, like you're still doing your thing. Tell us what you're doing now, Karen.
So I thought that, well, I started a week after the primary election, and Marcus Henry won, and I said, okay, and I totally supported him, and we talk and we're friendly, and I started my own business. So that's coming along, and we'll see. I don't want to talk about it too much now till I get it launched successfully and it's starting to grow. But in the meantime, I also am getting just as many calls. I feel like I'm still council president. And I feel them. And I talked with Monique, the current county president, and she and I work very well together. And I fill her in the calls I've gotten.
She
As well
is absolutely amazing. Didn't mean to interject, but I've got to say she's amazing. And we're so glad that you're helping her or just being there as a support system as she navigates her way.
I can let her know what I experienced, guide her if she has any questions about anything she's doing, because they do not have, there's no training program, Rachelle. Nobody tells you what to do. You go into the office and there's a computer there with nothing on it, not a paper clip around, not a paper from the former presidents. They clean and you just figure it out. And
Yeah.
of course, the other council members, they're resentful of you because you're the president and they're not. So they're not helping. If they give you any information, oftentimes it's wrong to put you on the wrong track. So she had her work cut out for the poor, and I think she's really coming along and seems to be doing, a really good job and reaching out to the community. And I'm really happy to see her succeeding.
Yes, yes. So let's wind the clock back. When you were the president, you had privy to a lot of information and you knew things. Now, winding the clock forward, we're sitting in a position where I can say personally, Karen, when I received my tax assessment, my property tax assessment, I almost hit the floor. I could not believe the numbers that I was looking at. What's going on? And tell us, because you already had a thought about this could possibly take place.
I did, and I'm not filtered anymore. I'm no longer the council president, so I can be a little more open and spicier in the how I relay things. So I'll put it that way. Um, I am about the information. I really believed people should know, and as you're aware, I really focused on the people and constituent service. You didn't see me at the photo ops. It didn't matter as much to me because I knew it was about people getting information out. Quite honestly, I'm really nerdy. I love information. I love research. I'm pretty darn good at it. So I would do a lot of that, make a lot of suggestions and what we needed to do. And council members shut me down. I wanted us educating the public right from the beginning. Matt was not doing that. He has his own reason. He was running for governor, and he delayed on I believe on purpose. Sort of know that it was on purpose so he could run for governor and not deal with this part of it, leaving it to the next county executive. So this question about reassessment came up throughout the campaign. Marcus started running about 3 weeks after I won for council president the second time. I started getting calls that that we were running against each other. I hadn't even announced it for another 3 years, but anyway, so I mean that really started. So he was gathering information, right, on what the job was or should have been, and that question came up. So it was about a year out that I announced, and then candidate forum started. Many people brought it up. There was Jess Thornburg brought it up. I know at every candidate forum because she had worked on this before, and she understood what needed to be done and that it was a lot of work. On my team, I had two people that I've worked with for a number of years. They're more friends than advisors, but they share with me. One was the former finance director for the county. He was also for the city, and he worked with the state. And he's retired, wants nothing out of it, but he would advise me on the finances. He's the best. And another one had worked for the county.
He kind of gave you the heads up that the taxes or the assessment was coming down the pike, and did it alarm you that there might be any problems with that?
Oh, he said, Karen, it was so important to him that we address this, that I heard about it almost every day. Okay, so like that whole year and before that even. And I had a second person. Now he was in his 70s. The other person was in his early 80s. He had also worked for the county at the time of the last reassessment. So both of them had been there when it was done about 40 years ago. And they knew how important it was to the people, how important it was to get the information out, and how much work it was going to be then. And that if we got elected, we were starting the next day after the election, getting information out and starting to set up a team to address this, to really make it run smoother and easier on people.
How did we come up? I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm trying to get to the crux of it. How did we come up? Who decided to hire Tyler Technologies? And I haven't done the research, so I'm not sure how qualified they are, how long they've been doing it. Tell us a little bit about that. How did we choose Tyler?
The first time I heard about that was not in a council meeting, which it should have been. It was at a DACO meeting, which is the Delaware Association of Counties. We would meet in Dover quarterly, and it was with the Sussex County Council and the levy court for Kent County. And it was one of Matt's, I guess it was someone who worked for Matt. It was, I don't know what his title was. It was Brian. And so he let us know that we were going with Tyler Technologies. And I said, well, we should be doing an RFP. What other options do we have? But apparently there had been a number of meetings behind the scenes. They had decided on that, although it should have come through the council. I brought that up in council when we finally were told in council meetings, who else did we interview? And it was really, I was just shushed up, and we really never got a good answer, which was really disappointing on that. But it had already apparently gone so far that it was a done deal. And the executive does pick that. Their people who have expertise go through the RFPs and decide who we're going to use, pretty much present it to the council, which we approve or not approve. But since there wasn't another one,
for those of us that are in layman terms, what is an RFP?
RFP is sort of, we're inviting people that companies that do that particular job to bid on it.
Okay.
And I was also told that they were one of a kind. There really isn't anybody else, that they do it, but not anybody else, which I was told by Councilman Smiley and Councilwoman Kilpatrick, who apparently were in on this, like talking to Matt Meyer about it. So it was clear that this was pretty much a done deal, and none of us knew that much about it. After the fact, I went and researched quite a bit, found there are other companies, and that Tyler had so many lawsuits against it. And then we approved it. we approved the monies. So there's 30 million in a fund for Tyler Technologies. I understand they might be getting to the end of the money, so they might through, I still have a lot of connections there, and they might be asking for more money for, I don't know how much or anything because I'm not in there to see the numbers. But this is a lot. I mean, this is a lot of money. And then once they started getting phone calls, we were told the mantra, I'm going to call it a mantra, a third goes up, a third goes down, and a third stays the same. That was not what I was hearing. I was hearing so many problems, one after another calls I was getting, where Tyler was going into the house but messing up. They were adding floors, balconies, garage, all kinds of things. I mean, and it was
to people's property in order to assess it and raise the taxes on it.
Yeah, they were assessing incorrectly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so people were having a hard time, and this is early on, getting in to speak with them and try to correct it. Some did get it corrected, others didn't. But didn't seem to be consistent, and there was quite a backlog. But it seemed to me most of it was going up, and so I was bringing this up in council, and they were, Councilman Smiley and Kilpatrick were trying to shush it. They did not want to hear it, and were saying that it wasn't true. And I'm like, this is what I'm seeing. I believe that to be true. I said, and we should not be telling people because we're setting them up. They're going to be so shocked when that's not what happened. You want to tell them the truth, and we should be out there doing town halls and things in order to educate people what's happening, how is it happening, how do you get, how do you contest the assessment that has been provided?
Yeah, I want to hold there. I want to say absolutely. I want to get into that process. I'd like to make sure that we inform our listening audience how do we contest it. But I want to wind back a little bit and unpeel, if you're able to help me with that. What are some of the lawsuits that Tyler Technology was facing when we hired them? We hired them already. They had lawsuits. Okay. And so would you know what some of those were about?
People did, but I can tell you there was a long list when I did the research on it, what would come up. And I was like, oh my God. And it was for the same things I was hearing on the phone that I was bringing to the council and to the administration. And they were saying, oh, that's not happening here. That's a one-off. That's an isolated case. There's very few. There's very few, Karen, what you're hearing. You're hearing the ones that are really upset. And I thought, well, there's no way that I can really verify but I'm pretty good at assessing when I've got an issue in my county. With any other issue, I'm right on when there's a problem. And I believe I'm right on in this. So I did not do that. And I advised Monique when she got in there, do not say the one third, because they are going to come after you. It's not true. She goes, well, that's what we're told. And she goes, I already put it out. I go, oh, Monique, don't continue. I said, and I was right. And the majority of people went up, not just a little, a lot. And I wasn't sure. I felt that was the case, but I wasn't.
I've spoken with some neighbors, and I can say, and I don't know everything, Karen, but I've spoken with some folks who are saying that their taxes have gone up by as much as $200, $300, $400, $500 based on their particular location, but all within Newcastle County.
That might be low. There's some out there quite a bit more than that, and that's just the county. That is separate from the school taxes, which we bill. It's on your same bill.
Mm-hmm.
We collect. But we do not have control over it. Now, our finance people do talk to the school district's finance people to coordinate, but it's just coordination. This has to come really from the General Assembly. I had spoken out on this on a show, the beginning of last week, and let people know that, this did not have to happen this way, and it should not have happened this way. This is so important because people's homes are a lot of times their equity. This is their legacy that they are passing on, to the younger generation. It might be the one investment that they make in their life, and
Mhm.
and that's what they put their time and energy into. And it was bound to be controversial, even if everything went right. But with everything going so wrong, and I had spoken, during the campaign when I was running for county executive. Once that was over, I met with Marcus. I said, you have got to start meetings right away, educating people, get out there. He has not done anything. I said, if not, you got to start hiring people. Like, you're a lot of people, and get this going, because there's going to be a backlog. Now we have a backlog of 5,000 people. People can no longer contest it, not until next year, when the taxes come due again. Only the people in the queue, but so many people didn't know what to do. And this is what else I kept
Wait a
saying.
minute. So let me hold on, because you're moving faster than I can try to ask a question here. So you're saying that at this point now, July 29th, and I believe it's July 29th, 2025, the contestment, we can't contest it at this point. It's done and over.
Yes.
I'm feeling really pissed off.
You should. You should,
I'm
because
feeling really pissed off, and I don't. No one told me that there was a deadline for me to contest it. I mean, I just got the thing.
because
Not
people
even. I think I
know.
just got it, Karen. This is July, June. So yeah, I just got it in like May, April or May. I just got it.
Some
I
people
haven't had it that long, so there was a very short contesting period for any of us to speak up against it. And I do know the law well enough to apply law to my contestation.
correct. And I guess they call it appeal, but they call it a formal. First, they called it informal appeal with Tyler, and then it was a formal appeal with the county. Now, in the meeting that the county council had last week, I was online and watching. They said, the person who was presenting said, "Well, we put it on our website that the deadline." I said, "You guys got us." I called a couple of counties.
It got to be absolutely
Nobody
crazy.
wakes up in the morning and says, "Oh my gosh, part of my routine is go to the Newcastle County website and check what they've got up today." Although they've not done anything for me in 10 years, today might be the day, right?
Right.
Nobody's doing that. No.
And then when you look at what is considered, in the language, are disenfranchised communities, we don't always have laptops and internets, and we don't even know there is a website for Newcastle County. I mean, people like you and I know, because we make it our business to know that. But everyone is, like you said, they don't wake up today and say, "Oh, well, let me go check Newcastle County website."
I don't. I was council president. I don't go to their website hardly ever. Did I go? Right? I mean, so that is, although it meets the you could say for FOIA, it meets the guidelines, but that is not educating people. And if these elected officials can put stuff out to get information they want people to know about getting elected, you can make sure they have the information in their hands, right? That is going to affect them in a big way for a long time. And they did not do that. They didn't do it. And then they went on to say, well, then they got something in the mail that say what their assessment may be. I said, nobody is going to pay attention to that, because it's not a done deal yet. It's not the real bill. I don't care what you say. If they opened it, it's not the final bill. It's going to mean nothing to them. But when they get that final bill, but by then they can no longer appeal. And it was only 2 weeks ago. No heads up. Now they were still hearing the mantra, a third up, third down, the third stays the same. Now they're in shock, and then horror. And then how in the world I'm going to pay this huge amount, because they got to pay the whole thing, which is the county and the school, in 2 months by September. That is not enough time. A lot of these people, they would have had to save all year if they could even still afford it.
But
If
you
you
know, the sad thing about that is when you really look at it, Karen, it might even be a plot and a ploy. And you know, you got to forgive me, but you know me well enough to know I'm spicy, as you say. How do I know that this isn't just a ploy to put liens on people's homes and take their home from them because of gentrification, moving folks out of one neighborhood so other people can come into the neighborhood? Because it will be those disenfranchised neighborhoods where we see people can't pay it, and potentially a lien goes against the house for non-payment. And now we have, Houston, we have a problem, right? So,
huge, huge
yeah,
problem.
really very upset. I know that many others are upset now because, again, I know the law, and there may be some, there's always a legal loophole to get through some things. But what about all of the other people who may not be familiar with the law and how to use those loopholes? They're done. You know what I mean? And it's not fair. But here's what I want to really just dovetail off of, and I thought it was so eloquently said. All of these public servant elected officials, they are excellent at getting the news and information out come voting season. They're on your doors, they're knocking, they're calling you, cold calls, whatever it is. But for information like this that really matters, not one person knocked on my door. I didn't get any phone calls to my knowledge. My phone never said that Tyler Technologies or Newcastle County was calling me to talk about my assessment. So, is there anything that can be done for, just say, the layman guy? What can we do for those of us who don't know the law?
There's a couple things I would do. So when I was talking about it last week, they asked what I would do. I said, well, if I was county executive right now, the first thing I would have done is contact the General Assembly, the leaders and others, the governor, the boards of the schools and the presidents, and the council or county council, and get everybody together and start coming up with solutions. Start brainstorming. What are we going to do? I think the best solution would be if they put it on pause for 1 year, because people in my opinion, need time to save for this. And if for those on Social Security or pensions, they get a monthly check, they have to put so much aside each month. And some still might not be able to do it, because in the midst of all this, you've got
We've got a big, beautiful bill going on, right? We can't.
Then I'll come into the rest, because I want people to know this other part too. So this is what I had said I believe I would do immediately, and then by the end of the day, the reporter had called Marcus Henry, and he says, I have a plan. I say, oh, he doesn't have a plan. He just said he's got a plan, because they heard that I was on the radio. And then that night was the council meeting, and George Smiley said he was putting out legislation to delay things a little bit. They had not even thought about this yet. I thought about it a lot, because during the election, as soon as it was over, Marcus had and this is, Marcus and I are friendly, but I will stand on business when it comes to the county. I'm going to call you out. If you're not doing what you need to do, I'm going to call you out on it, and I will be your friend, and I will help you. What do you need?
Right.
And I've offered to him, what do you need? I am there for you as your friend. But I also am going to put good information out to people, because I care about them. These were my constituents for 8 years. These are my friends. They're my neighbors. They need help right now. And if you're not going to step up, then I'm going to. And I'm going to tell them what they need to know. And I'll put ideas out there, pick from what you want, adopt it, say it was yours, you came up with the idea. I'm okay with that, right? As we start to get
right.
But Rachelle, the really super important here is I'm hearing from some council members and people, in the know, and I still have a lot of connections throughout the county. I've got a great network, and that I've always had, I've always had, and it's only expanded, right? So we're probably going to see at least a 15% tax increase from the council for the county next year. Now, this year, instead of them shrinking the budget, they expanded it 15% and used $50 million out of the reserves. You shouldn't be using the reserves. If you do a Google search on what are best practices for counties regarding reserves, you don't use the reserves. Like, you want to be able to, whatever you come in, your income, that's what you spend. You live within your means in a county, because we only have a set amount of money coming in. It doesn't change, and it only fluctuates up and down, usually about 5 million, right? So you want to be really careful with that. So if they increase it 15%, it's not 15% on the old number, it's 15% on the new number, right? Like, which would feel
But
like
for the new assessment, an additional 15% on top of that.
Which would feel like to people a 50% increase on the old number, right?
When a gallon of milk is $8 and eggs are $5 for 12 eggs.
And Matt Meyer, based on when you look at the state numbers, he doesn't have enough coming in. Things have shifted, right? And so what he thought when he was running, and I didn't even think when he was running he could do all this, but just give him the benefit of the doubt, he probably is going to ask for an increase. They're going to do it. They didn't do it this year, which is their first year, but they're running in 4 years from the first. So they're already in a year almost. You want to do it in your second year. You don't want to do it in your third or fourth. The council members will kill you. The ones that are running next year aren't going to support you in a tax increase. And the ones that are running in 4 years aren't going to support you. So it'll probably be next year. He may even need an additional one the following year, because this coming year, based on his increases, he'll have to dip into the reserves again for probably 50 million. And then you're getting down to very little reserves left. You can't do that again, right? So you'd have to increase taxes in order to cover it. But the operational costs for the county are greater than what they have coming in. We no longer have the ARPA money. We have less coming in for transfer tax, which is when they're buying and selling houses, we get a piece of it, right? So we get a little bit of money from that in addition to the taxes for property taxes. But our property taxes pay for most of it. And then there's a few other fees, but they don't amount to a whole lot, right? So I'm going to basically, put it out there. So you don't have a lot of flexibility in what you do. You have to reorganize, condense, go back to your core services and do them really, really well, right? So that's what I would recommend they do. And then you might have, so now you're looking at maybe county taxes, 15%. Who knows what the state is going to need, whatever they go up. Now this is on the new numbers, right? Then you've got the schools that didn't do it enough this year. They're already looking, if they did 1% or 2%, they're looking at doing an increase next year. And the ones that got the 10% that was already built into without a referendum, I call it taxation without representation, which is, our country is founded on that. The Boston Tea Party, right? You don't want to be doing that. That was bad. They should have done a referendum. But now you can, even if you got that 10%, you can come back and do another referendum. They can get 2 a year, right? It doesn't mean I don't think the people are going to go for it, but then just to make it work a little bit worse. And I brought this to their attention because they're not looking at all of this. It's not one thing. You have to look at all of this together, because all of this together is affecting everybody in the county. You've got the
right, hold on, Karen. I think that's what my question is. All of this is coming pretty much the same time. The school tax, the city tax. I live in the city, I pay city and county tax. And another additional 15%. And then of course the paychecks, those are going to be taxed. Is any of this connected to?
You're not talking about.
Let me ask the question. You won't let me finish my question.
I'm excited about this. You could tell this is like really.
Yes, I am, but you've got to let me ask you the question. Does this, in your opinion, professional or otherwise, is this connected to the new administration in Washington, D.C.?
No, this is, in my opinion, this is strictly all about local politics. And that's what I focus on. We can't control what happens in Washington. Whatever it happens is going to happen. Not that much federal money comes to us that is going to make us or break us. We've got to control our own budgets right here at home, and we can do that. So you focus on what you can do, and you do that well, and you do it with intention and urgency. So this is not being done. I mean, this is just done so lackadaisical. Even the General Assembly is now going to meet, but not for a little while. I mean, if I'd have gone in there, and I know past executives that have gone in there, when there was an emergency, they went in there that day and they stayed till 2, 3, 4 in the morning if they had to, with their team, coming up with idea, and they had a solution the next morning. It might not work, and they might have to revise it, but they focused on it. We see people like it's no big deal, and I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, I believe the General Assembly is on vacation until January, is it? Or
they're now going to come up in, but I think it's not for 2 weeks in August. I'm not sure the exact date. I did have it down. I don't have it right now.
Discuss this specifically to talk about the tax
solution for this. Yes.
Okay.
And so what can they do? So
it seems to be that we, the people, we, the constituents, the voters, we need to be at that 2-week session at the General Assembly in Dover.
You have to be there. And then we have one other big item is food costs. So last week I went to the grocery store, and instead of going to Acme, which is a little more expensive, we went to Food Line there on Governor Prince. There was very little, under $5.99 or $9.99. The costs have gone up. Now, when you add all this together, and it's hitting people all together, it's going up. You have got to be educating them now on all of this, because it's all affecting you, and providing services in how to balance this. In my opinion, we need to help people navigate through this, because some of them are just friggin' panicking. They don't know what to do.
It's going to raise our crime, because some people become desperate, and desperate people do desperate things. So I believe the crime rate could possibly go up. I mean, Delaware doesn't have the best reputation in the world, since we're right on the 95 corridor. We're like 19th in the nation for sex trafficking, 25.4% for drug use for fentanyl. So, a couple things Wilmington, Delaware needs to clean itself up.
You need to be aware early, not later, not be reactive, but anticipate, using common sense in what happened before. So during COVID, I immediately said, one of the things I knew was going to happen, and people were in a house together and can't leave. Sometimes they don't really like each other that much, right? Domestic violence is going to go up. So I asked if we could get our behavioral health program for the county to increase that. We did, and prep them for the unique situation that we were dealing with. And so instead of calling the cops, who have to do one of two things, they either let you go or they arrest, but they don't counsel you. There's no in between. Right. I would call our behavioral health program, members, and they would be able to work with them. If it needed mental health, they could guide them there. Drug problems, they could guide them there. Just didn't get along with my neighbor because he's stepping on my grass. They can address that too, which they did. So those are the kind of things. So we need to increase that, because another thing, Rachel, I called one of the council members and I said, listen, you're going to have to hire the behavioral health, but there's going to be other issues. A lot of these people are seniors that can't afford to stay in their homes. They might have reverse mortgages over on Route 9. They're doing a lot of that. They've been pushed into it, and some are losing their homes. Some just don't have equity on their homes, or young people with kids that don't have a lot of equity. I think you're going to see a lot of suicides because they can't afford to move even. They can't even, like some of these seniors, they can't even afford to move and have 2 months rent and a security deposit to rent a place, but they've lived in this house a long time, some of them. Yeah. And then they're old. To pack up a house, it's almost impossible if they don't have family.
Right.
So I think we need to be talking about those tough things, letting them know now, connecting people with family members so that people have help and support through this. And community members can come together to help each other through this. but we have to be.
If you happen by any chance to know the date of the General Assembly, and if you don't know it now, maybe you can get it to me. I'll certainly research it. I want to get that information out there to my listening audience for the Wilmington, Delaware, and Newcastle County, so that we can show up in Dover for that meeting. If your property taxes are too high and you're not comfortable with what is happening, you've got to show up and let your voices be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not one where we can just sit down and take it. All right. So, Karen, I just cannot thank you enough for the information you've given us. You were spicy. You dropped names today.
You know what?
You let us know who was doing what.
Rachelle, we cannot. I was too gentle with people when I was in office, I feel, right? You've got to name names. You've got to name it, claim it, and then you can change it. But we are not changing things. We're having the same things happen over and over. We're putting people in office that owe everybody else. They're giving out, jobs, they're giving out contracts, they're, giving out grants, they're promising. And then they come in and they hire those people, but they're not the best people for the job. And
I'm mad as hell. Tyler Technology got $30 million for giving me the wrong tax assessment to my property. I'm livid about that. I am livid. And if they did it with me, I know they've done it with other people.
Did it with many others. I can tell you firsthand, having heard and seen it for myself. So I am so glad that you're here talking about this. And we've got to do more of that because we can change things. And this is not about blaming, shaming, and shutting people down. This is saying, level up. Do this with urgency. This is important and it's affecting our lives. And some people will not recover from this. Yeah. They won't recover. And you have to take that just as seriously. And if you don't, we're going to have a whole lot of advocates out here coming up with solutions and naming names.
Just take people's homes from them. You just simply do that. Politicians, elected public servants, you can't let them take homes away from people, especially seniors, like you say, who have been there for 30, 40 years. I've got 86-year-old people who live right here in my neighborhood, and I'm concerned for them, as well as myself, but certainly for them as well. So we didn't get a chance to talk a lot about Delmarva Power tonight. We're kind of running out of time, Karen, but I can tell you that it's been an intriguing and interesting and informative conversation. I'd love to have you come back and we can talk some more. And maybe then you might even have some solutions. I'd love to hear you bring some solutions to the table, to the audience, and tell us what we can do from here. All right.
And I just want to say one thing. It's time to stand on business.
All right. And that's
what I'm asking everybody to do.
Thank you, Karen Hartley Nagle. Best of success in your business. We'll have you back. I just adore you as my friend and as a former public servant. Thank you so very, very much. Godspeed, baby. Godspeed.
Same to you. Take care.
Talk soon. Okay. Wow, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? Is anybody else feeling the pressure? Because I'm in the hot seat right now. I feel very much my seat is on fire because I am absolutely livid. No one told me, I'm a journalist, and no one even indicated that there was a cutoff date to appeal or contest the property tax assessments done by Tyler Technologies. If you don't live in the state of Delaware, then it doesn't directly affect you. But I'm sure that somewhere, wherever you live in this world, you're being taxed. The question is, do you have representation? All right. Are you standing up and speaking up for your humane rights, your dignity to live? Because if you're paying all of these taxes for whatever purpose, school tax, county tax, state tax, city tax, Delmarva Power and Light, Exelon Corporation, if you're paying all of that, yeah, I agree with Karen. Some folks are not going to make it through. Now, I hope and pray by the grace of something greater than myself that I have the lawful wits in order to preserve what I need to preserve for me and my legacy. I pray. I truly pray. But I also pray for everyone out there, especially my heart goes out to those people who have absolutely no clue on how to defend themselves from these types of shenanigans. And again, as a conspiracy theorist that many people call me, I'd almost be willing to put dollars to donuts that this is something to do with gentrification. It's a conspiracy theory, but that's what I do. I think outside of the box. Is it possible that all of this is being done so that people can be displaced from their homes, so that other folks can move into the city from where the disenfranchised people now live? All right. Some of you understand exactly what I'm saying, and the other, you're scratching your head. But you just think about it, listen to it a couple of times, and you'll figure it out. All right. Is it possible? Is it possible that that's what's happening? I can't say, ladies and gentlemen, but what I can say is if you've never picked up a piece of law in your life, now might be a good time to search the library and start the research if you're a property owner in the state of Delaware. All right. So that's kind of it for me for tonight. Again, I'm in the hot seat. I am absolutely livid. And I'll be doing everything that I can to apply law to protect that which is important for me to protect. As far as Delmarva Power and Light, I definitely spoke today, again, engaged in a conversation with a lovely, lovely young lady. We spoke for about an hour and maybe 15 or 20 minutes, but for the types of changes that I'm advocating for with the Exelon Corporation, the mothership over Delmarva Power and Light, that was above her pay grade. She does not have the abilities to step into that particular arena and advocate for change. So we stayed on the level that we were on, but I will keep you abreast of how things are moving. I will be speaking with the advocate liaison to our governor's, not governor, I'm sorry, although I will be reaching out to Matt Meyer. I assure you, this will also be put in front of him. But I can say that the Exelon Corporation has been put on alert that we're looking for change. We, the people, are looking for change from their astronomical bills. Astronomical. As I started this broadcast, I told you I spent $69 in usage of electricity for the entire month of June. $69. But my bill came in for the service and delivery charge, all combined together, put me slightly, just say $300 for the month of June alone. For the month of June alone, the service delivery charge from the Exelon Group Corporation was more than my actual usage of their services. Something has to change, ladies and gentlemen. Is that happening to you? Am I the only person? Is there anyone else this is happening to you as well? You only spent a certain amount of the electricity or gas or whatever, but the bill came in exceedingly high. If this is happening to you, then you need to stand with our public servants, elected officials, all right, U.S. State Senator Christopher Coons, Junior Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester, and Congresswoman Sarah McBride. We need to talk to these people and inundate them with emails and letters that we want change from the Exelon Group Corporation. All right, that's my final say on it. My 2 cents in the cookie jar. I can't thank you enough for joining me. Thank you so much for the information. I pray that it was helpful for you today. If you live in the state of Delaware, share this information with other Delawarean property owners. If they're property owners, or if it's Delmarva, then you may, wherever you rent a room or whatever is going on, if you've got lights, most likely they're providing the service. Either way, we need to get on this and we need to do it together. All right. That's the only way that change is going to happen. If we unify our voices, put aside all them bullshit, bullshit-knocky, little petty, childish, immature differences, all right? And let's look at the bigger picture of things and let's make this happen. Let's come together and bring change, all right? General Assembly, they're the ones who can help us bring change. I'm Rachelle Wilson, broadcasting to you from Wilmington, Delaware. Global Internet Radio on Rachelle Radio Raw, where we keep it real and we keep it raw. All right? Sending love and peace and grace out to each and every one of you. Stay cool in this heat wave. If you live in this side of the corridor, northeastern corridor, make sure you stay hydrated and look out for your elders and little babies, children. Do not let them out in the sun for any length of time. It will cause skin cancer. It can burn the skin, cause dehydration, and heat exhaustion. So keep the babies away from the outside sun. Keep our elders, senior citizens away from the outside sunshine. All right. Love you. God bless you. Take care. And thank you again for your love and your support. Peace and grace until next time.